Hi you guys, so this video is showing you how to estimate sums and differences. So what that means is that you're going to be rounding decimals and then adding or subtracting them. You guys know how to add and subtract numbers, whole numbers, so that part's not easy. That part is easy. The part that's new is going to be rounding your decimals. So if you haven't yet, please be sure you watch the previous lesson, which was on how to round a decimal. If you're following along in McGraw-Hill, we are currently in chapter 5, and this is lesson 2. All right, so here's our problem. We have 31 3/10 plus 37 6/10. Before we add, because it wants to know the sum, we need to round both of these. When you do this, you need to round to a whole number. So if you're rounding to a whole number, you want to get rid of everything to the right of the decimal. In order to do that, you always round anything or whatever number is in the ones place. And I'm going to say that one more time because that's really important. Whenever you are rounding to make a whole number, because we want to make a whole number because then we're going to add or subtract them, you have to round whatever's in the ones place, because whatever's in the ones place, that number is going to be rounded. When you look to the right, that number tells us how to round it, and then everything to the right goes away. So we want to get rid of everything from decimal on, if that makes sense, okay? So I underlined what's in the ones place, and then we're going to follow our rules. So remember, if it's 4 or less, let it rest. And essentially what that means is to stay the same. The number stays the same. That's in the ones place. And then if it's 5 or more, we knock on the door. And essentially that means we round up by one, okay? We round up a number. Okay, so 31.3. A 1 is in the ones place. We look to the right. Is this number 4 or less or 5 or more? Well, it is a 3, and 3 is smaller than 4. So we let it rest, which means the 1 stays the same, and everything to the right of it goes away. So this becomes 31, and then bring down our plus sign. 37.6. The 7 is in the ones place because we need to round the ones place if we want to make a whole number. We look to the right. Is the 6 4 or less or 5 or more? It's definitely more than 5. So we knock on that door and we round the 7 up. 1 more than 7 is 8, so this becomes a 38. Now we can add 31 plus 38, and if you need to stack it, go ahead and do that. So we come out to 69. So our answer is 69, okay? Let's go ahead and do another example, and then you guys will be ready to go. The most important part, again, is how to round. Make sure you're rounding the ones place. We're going to go ahead and subtract 5 26/100 minus 1 93/100. Okay, so we're not going to subtract these. Luckily, we get to round them to a whole number, and if we're rounding them to a whole number, you need to round the ones place. So underline the digits in the ones place. We have a 5 and a 1, so we're going to round by looking to the number to the right and determining if we're going to let the number stay or if they're going to round up, and that's all we do. So next to the 5 is a 2. A 2 is 4 or less, so let it rest. So this becomes a 5. The 5 stays. And that's what I mean by let it rest. It stays the same. So the 5 gets to stay. 1 is in the ones place. We look to the right and we have a 9. 9 is 5 or more. We need to knock on the door and the 1 needs to go up 1. So 1 plus 1 would give me a 2. Now we can subtract. 5 take away 2 is 3. And there you go. So that is all you're doing for this lesson. I hope that helps you guys with whatever you are working on. Please be sure to check out the other lessons from this chapter on working with decimals.